Coach, tell us about Wyoming. What do you know about the Wyoming offense?
Yeah, their head coach is an old school, fundamental football, hard-nosed guy, and it breeds throughout his team, his roster, his offense. They want to run the football first. Like to get downhill. They'll use bigger personnel groupings, especially on early downs, to try to establish the run game. They do a good job of mixing up zone and gap schemes. They don't put the ball in jeopardy. When they do put it in the air, they're quick, concise reads. Like to get the ball out on the perimeter, with sprint outs and nakeds and get the quarterback out of the pocket a little bit. So they do a good job. Their run game matches up with their play action game. They do a really good job of mixing up personnel groupings and trying to get you to have to match those groupings and be able to get into different pictures out of those different personnels.
Is there any film at all on the quarterback and transfer from Utah State? What do you see from that kid?
Yeah, I've seen Utah State film. He is athletic. He can extend plays with his legs. He's got a quick delivery. It seems like when he knows where to go with the ball, he gets it out on time and he's accurate. And that's sort of what we've seen from the catalog of film we've gotten from Utah State.
Brady Pegan, a lot of new starters on your defense, but guys who are older, who've played for you before, like Zeke, Kendall, Taz. What are you excited? What are you looking for Saturday when those guys get on the field with kind of bigger roles?
Just to see what we've been seeing in practice, just the consistency of play in and play out, and just doing their job. That first game, there's going to be jitters. Guys have the tendency to go try to find plays instead of letting the game come to them. So that'll be something that we preach to our guys defensively is just let the game come to you as it does. Make the plays you're supposed to make, and just do your job. That's what they've been doing all fall camp. And so I'm looking forward to seeing a clean game. Obviously you worry a little bit about tackling that first week, but we've done a good job in scrimmage situations of getting guys down and playing fast. And so that's what we're looking for from a staff standpoint on what to expect from the players.
Did training camp help you maybe resolve some of those starting positions that you have to fill? How do you kind of feel about you're going into the first game where you're at in that process?
Yeah, I think I like the core group of guys we got. We're running with the ones and the twos. We've seen improvement from guys that we needed to see improvement from, and guys are playing fast and communicating and executing at a high level. And that's what we're looking for, and that's what we've gotten coming out of fall camp.
Ryan, do you feel like you've adequately been able to prepare for Wyoming, considering all the personnel changes that they've had in this offseason, maybe more than anybody in the country?
Yeah, so you tend to look at more scheme than you do actual production.
Sure.
They've stayed pretty true to their identity over the years, even with some staff turnover. And so that's what we've been looking for is, what are we getting out of certain personnel groupings? What type of plays do they like to run out of certain sets? And they'll plug and play guys, that are new or inexperienced on the roster. But I'd be hard pressed to believe that their identity is going to change a whole lot. And so that's what we've been focusing on.
With the addition of T-Ron, Rashawn, and both being back in practice, how comfortable do you feel with the depth in that room, kind of defensive tackles?
Yeah, we feel good. Coach Jameson's done a great job of mixing those guys in and really developing those new guys and getting them to play with the type of technique and fundamentals that we play with on a consistent basis. I'm glad that those two guys are on our roster and they've added depth and added some competition into that room, and that's elevated the level of play in that room. And I'm excited to watch them play this fall.
I think there's a lot of promising potential of what Keith and Johnny can be at those spots. Just I don't know. What do you expect from them? What do you kind of see as what they can achieve?
Yeah, I expect Keith and Johnny just to be Keith and Johnny. We don't need them to be any more or any less. How they play and who they are plenty good enough for what we need them to do defensively. They add experience, they add some competitiveness to that room. Both of them are very athletic, very strong, and they got to win and own the line of scrimmage for us to be successful defensively. And so we're counting on them to shoulder a lot of that weight for us and be stalwarts for us up the middle.
Right. Talking to Kevin, Andy, they talk about your ability to manage people as part of why you were successful last year, why they think you'll be successful. What's your philosophy on managing people as the leader of the defense?
You know, just to be myself and to be genuine and be consistent. I think that goes a long way. You know, I'm not afraid to voice my opinion, but I'm also seeking out counsel and advice. So you know, I feel like I'm a fairly good listener in that aspect. And I've been blessed to be surrounded with great people. You know, from top to bottom. You know, Coach B has done an awesome job with his staff. We make each other better every day. You know, it's been a joy to go against. I say a joy, but it's been a joy to go against our offense every day. You know, they've challenged us, and we've challenged them, and there's been some healthy back and forth this fall camp, which is what you want to see. You know, as a program. And then the guys in our room, you know, it's very little that I have to manage. You know, there's no egos. There's you know, high football IQ, high character guys. So it's an easy room to manage. But you know, I do think that just being genuine, being authentic, being who you are consistently every day goes a long ways for guys that are trying to follow you.
I think they said you were in the interviews with them.
Mm-hmm.
A guy with like Andy who's got a lot of DC experience. Kevin's got DC experience. On paper, some people might think that could be an issue. Why has that not been an issue for you, or why have you embraced that?
You know, I'm a confident person. I'm not ever looking over my shoulder. I'm confident in my abilities, and that's what's gotten me to this point in my career. And so I looked at it as a bonus to having that kind of experience, that kind of expertise, to try to continue to learn. You know, as a young play caller, it was important for me at that point and juncture in my career to continue to grow, and that was one of the main reasons that I was attracted to this opportunity. And it's been the best career move I've ever made, just because I am getting fed, and I am growing as a defensive play caller and like you said, a manager. And those guys are you know, helpful and pivotal in that aspect.
Coach Titus Swen is their feature back this year. He's over 800 or almost 800 yards rushing. What kind of back is he? What are some challenges for the defense to slow him down?
Yeah, he's hard to bring down. You know, he does a good job of following the tracks of his offensive linemen. You know, he's a one-cut, get vertical guy. You know, he's got low center of gravity, a wide base. So we're gonna have to do a good job of wrapping him up and having a high-level pursuit to the football.
What's the biggest round, maybe most important change as you've transitioned from 3 weeks of camp to game week?
The biggest.
And just maybe what you do on a day-to-day basis, if there is anything.
You know, I'd say getting into game week, you know, it's almost like you treat it like a bye because you've had extra time to prepare for Wyoming, and so the focal point on actually game planning, you know, into this next week or starting, you know, a week ago. That definitely changes through fall camp, right? You know, the start of fall camp, you're just installing your defense. You know, you're going through the ins and outs of all the calls, all the checks, and just really focusing on your craft as a unit and also positionally. Then as you get to the season, now it's okay. What are we trying to stop from our opponent? And what are the sort of things that we like versus, you know, certain personnel groupings and we don't like versus certain personnel groupings? And really diving into more situational football, like what are you doing in third downs in the red area? You know, how do they operate in 2 minute? You get more game plan specific as you get closer to game week.
No, go ahead. I feel like you've been asked this, but we've heard a lot about like some players like Matt, or maybe even just some guys who maybe would be like number 2 or below on the depth chart. They've impressed the level that they have. Is there a way you go about trying to incorporate them in the game more, even though there are more veteran and experienced players ahead of them?
No, you know, in my mind, you got your starters, and those guys are going to play. You know, Sidney Brown is going to play until Sidney Brown can't play. You know what I mean? And if the game allows or it's needed that Matt goes in there, then in my mind, he's ready to go. So those guys got to prepare like they're starters. But having a set rotation in my room specifically, there is no set rotation. It's the guys that are going to play are going to play. And if somebody needs a blow or something happens, then the next guy's got to be ready to go in there.
How is the adaptation or development of the cornerback spot opposite of Spoon going through preseason camp and in your mind as you head into game?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with Coach Henry's been able to do with that group, and to that group's credit, they really answered the bell There's been a lot of healthy competition. You know, guys like Taz, guys like T. Strain, and then some younger guys that have really stepped up and tried to push the envelope. And so, you know, the experience out of that particular spot might not be there from an in-game standpoint, but they've had a lot of reps throughout the course of spring and fall camp, and they've played good football. And so I'm excited to see those guys get the opportunity to play some meaningful downs and get some quality in-game reps, and hopefully they'll play at a high level.
Anything else for Coach?
Cool, thanks.